Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We'll give it just 20 seconds here for everybody to join the call. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining the May 2025 HOA Forum presented by the Colorado HOA Information Resource Center. My name is Nick Altman. I am the HOA Information Officer with the HOA Center program of the Colorado Division of Real Estate. I also have my colleagues Amanda Lopez and David Donnelly on the call with me today. We're going to share some of their insight and help moderate the Q&A questions. For your information, the Q&A feature will be enabled on the bottom of your Zoom interface panel. If you have any questions, you may submit those anonymously if you choose, and we'll do our best to address those as the presentation goes on. This presentation will be recorded and uploaded to the Division's YouTube channel. You can find the link to our channel at the end of this presentation, where you can also view other videos offered by the Division of Real Estate. We're expecting a smaller crowd today. Maybe it's the summer months or the warmer days, but this will be more of definitely an informal presentation, and we'll might be a little bit abbreviated or shortened, but we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can, and please feel free to drop some questions as well. So with that, the topic of this HOA forum is helpful summer maintenance tips for HOA living. The title is sort of a play on April showers brings May flowers, but we thought it would be funny to May showers also brings June flowers. So, all right, let's get to it. Legal disclaimer. So the information in this presentation should not be construed as legal advice. It's intended for educational purposes only. If you have any legal questions, please consult with a qualified licensed attorney. If this is your first time joining us, this is a brief list of what the HOA Center does do, but just as a quick reminder, we exist to offer basic information to homeowners regarding their rights and responsibilities under Kiowa. We gather complaints and register HOAs through the state's HOA registration mandate. We create resource materials and offer presentations like the one you're watching. We do have a website that we maintain that contains information for the public. And we also provide an annual report with summary data and statistics for review by the public. What the HOA Center does not do is act as a regulatory program. We are not able to act as an advocate for any one party. For example, a board member or a aggrieved unit owner. We cannot provide legal advice. We don't have the ability to mediate, and also we cannot enforce an HOA's failure to register. So just to give you a brief idea of what we're talking about here today, I'm going to give you a quick Kiowa refresher on some important laws and recent legislation that occurred that relates to an HOA and a board's ability to conduct proper maintenance on the property and ensure that any maintenance you're doing over the summer months is in compliance with what Kiowa currently says. I'll offer a quick sample maintenance list. All communities are different and unique. Your community may have a lot of amenities with many common elements like a fitness center, swimming pool, many different common areas, or you might be in a smaller HOA in a rural area with maybe 2 blocks of grass that needs to be trimmed or mowed uh, occasionally. So I'll offer some landscaping tips, dealing with nuisances on your property. Summer months typically, see more parties, neighbors and owners gathering outside to enjoy the warm weather, and with that might come, noise. Uh, Amanda's going to talk a little bit about flag guidelines and what to think about as you're considering putting up maybe an American flag or a service flag. How to prepare your summer amenities, and also a couple tips and tricks about what to look for if you do have a swimming pool, and some helpful guidelines to follow. Amanda will also talk about air conditioning and HVAC maintenance, the playground picnic area, and a couple things on pests. And she'll briefly talk about HOAs and mountains. All right, so to start us off, Kiowa, of course, sets forth maintenance obligations for HOAs and unit owners. So Section 307 there explicitly states that except to the extent provided by the declaration, the association is responsible for maintenance, repair, and replacement of the common elements, and each unit owner is responsible for maintenance, repair, and replacement of such owner's unit. So that is the state statute, and your declaration may or likely will have its own maintenance requirements with respect to what the association is responsible for maintaining and what the unit owner is responsible for maintaining. So check your declaration. I don't know, some of you may be aware of a recent law that passed concerning, and that's House Bill, actually Section 302.5 of Kiowa. I can't think of the House Bill number off the top of my head, but this law relates to a unit owner's ability to enjoy the common elements. So basically, if maintenance or repair is required, say on the swimming pool or maybe a tennis court or a fitness facility, the HOA is restricted in its ability to cut off or restrict an owner's access to the common element. So the HOA may only restrict unit owners' access to the common elements if, according to Kiowa, the restriction is needed to protect the safety of any individual. The restriction is needed to preserve the structural integrity or condition of a repair or modification. Or if there were just 2 restrictions there. So to protect the safety or to preserve the structural integrity of a repair. So if the restriction must last longer than 72 hours or 3 calendar days, the HOA must provide an electronic or written notice as soon as reasonably possible. The Kiowa does not specify how the written notice must be provided. For example, if it needs to be certified mail, return receipt requested, or first class mail or priority mail, it doesn't specify. So standard mail would be permissible, or an electronic notice, so an email. And then as soon as reasonably possible, it doesn't specify, HOAs only have 3 to, they must send the notice by, say, 5 business days or 5 calendar days. It just says as soon as reasonably possible. And the notice, it has to include a simple explanation or reason for the repair or modification. For example, why is the hot tub not working, or why is the swimming pool closed, or just a simple explanation. An estimated duration of when the owner's access to the common element will no longer be restricted. And a telephone number or email address where an owner may pose questions or concerns about the restriction for consideration by the HOA. So keep in mind here, just for it's just requiring consideration by the HOA. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the HOA has to respond to these concerns. Of course, it might be good practice to try and respond as if you're a board member on this call to the best of your ability. But you just have to be able to consider these concerns, and either by way of a telephone or a general board email address. So the statute, Colorado statute for your reference, is 3833.3-302.5 in case you wanted to look this section up. All right, so of course with the summer months, we also, look at gardening and garden designs and how we want to, whether we want to xeriscape or not, or do our best to conserve water. So, Colorado is making a strong push for obviously being an arid state, being in an arid part of the country, with water being a precious resource. The Colorado General Assembly has made a strong effort, a strong push to allow or encourage HOA unit owners to use drought tolerant and native plants for installation on their property in an effort to save water and reduce costs. So this is another bill. This law was passed, I want to say, I think it was last year, I believe. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I'm almost kind of losing track of time here. But so this law states or provides that if your community, if anyone's considering doing xeriscaping or making improvements on their lawn or their front yard, that xeriscaping has to be done by 3 pre-approved garden designs that the HOA selects and publishes for the community. So these pre-approved garden designs can be chosen from Colorado State University's Plant Select website, or from another entity that makes these types of designs. So there's a useful website link there where you can navigate to Plant Select, and it's actually a very useful website. They even have an HOA tab at the top, where you can review these garden designs. If you haven't already checked it out, I highly recommend that you check it out, just to kind of get a sense of what these designs look like and how they may look in your particular community. And definitely check out the HOA tab on that website as well. So a little bit more about these garden designs. The statute says that the HOA does have to post those pre-approved garden designs on its public website. If your HOA has a website, they have to be posted to the website so that unit owners can affirmatively go to that website and select those designs themselves. Owners do not need, according to this law, owners do not need to obtain architectural review approval first. So an owner selecting one of these pre-approved garden designs shall be considered to be in compliance with the HOA's aesthetic guidelines. Again, the whole idea being here that the legislature wants homeowners living in HOAs to have minimal barriers in trying to save water and use native plants and drought tolerant garden designs. That's not to say that, if you're a unit owner, you should still definitely try and reach out to your board and communicate with your board and just say, hey, I just want to make sure this garden design is one of the 3 pre-approved garden designs that we're supposed to have on our website according to Kiowa. And I just want to make sure that, everything is copacetic when I'm especially if you're considering beginning a large, significant project like xeriscaping your front lawn. It's always a good idea just to improve communications. So, but importantly, owners do not need to obtain ARC approval first. Civil remedies are available to unit owners who are affected by an HOA's violation of this section, and the long statutes on the bottom there for your review. But I believe those civil remedies are maximum $500 or the actual damages sustained by the unit owner. Also, if you're a unit owner and you suspect your HOA to be in violation of this, the duty also falls on you, the unit owner, to notify your board or HOA that they are in violation by sending them some kind of written notification. All right. So, summer maintenance checklist. So, I mean, this stuff is pretty straightforward. It's kind of intended to be like a high level, large umbrella that covers not only HOAs, but I mean, maybe somebody who rents a property or lives in a non HOA. But common issues that tend to crop up in the summertime include outdoor pest control. Like rabbits or rats or mice. Sidewalks, especially cracks in the sidewalk or in the concrete. With the being in the warm, hot weather. Drainage issues, for example, in your gutters and downspouts. So for the summer months, you want to make sure that you're removing, debris and leaves that tend to accumulate over the winter months, right? And actually in the spring and summer months. That way you ensure that, water or snow melt is properly draining away from the property. And also, I just want to make a quick disclaimer here. By no means am I a maintenance expert. If you had any specific questions about these maintenance items, definitely contact an experienced maintenance person or a maintenance company. Also, you want to take a look at your foundation to look at any cracks or sinking, water faucets and sprinklers. You want to check to make sure that your sprinkler heads are not damaged or broken, and that they're properly aimed in the right direction so as to optimize water usage in your community. Also take a look at satellite dishes, make sure they're still connected and operable. Of course, roofs are a huge, big ticket item for insurance and damage, any potential damage that might have been sustained in the spring, our spring Colorado months where we tend to have hail and wind. Wood decks and patios, and Amanda's going to talk a little bit more about some wood considerations on decks and patios. And probably one of our favorites is, pick up dog poop. Make sure that, you're picking up after your dog. Maybe you want to start like a poop patrol. A poop patrol, dog poop patrol, where, you're not necessarily attacking your neighbors or aggressively confronting them, but maybe you're just, what the old saying is, kill them with kindness. Maybe offer to give them a dog poop bag, or just a friendly reminder. Hey, maybe you can pick up after your dog next time or something like that. Just try and be as friendly as possible, and helps out with the health and general hygiene of the community. Roof interior inspection. Sometimes the common element will be below the top of the property. Like, it's not all the time the roof on the exterior of the unit, but sometimes, depending on your declaration, the inside of the underside of the roof might be a common element. Attic vents and screens to make sure you got proper insulation and airflow. Flooring, air conditioning units, especially the condenser, hot water heaters and water lines. Yards, landscaping, fences, gates, and security cameras are also other considerations for summer maintenance checklists. Of course, landscaping is a big one. Ensure that you want to review your service contracts if you're a board member, or maybe the treasurer for the board. Want to gather your contracts together, make sure that you're getting the best deal that your contractors are still reliable and giving you the best deal. If you have a community association manager, they likely will have referrals or trusted business partners, but make sure that you're continually refreshing those contracts and obtaining, even if you have even if you've had the same one for 10 years, it's always a good idea just to get comparable, quotes from other contractors to try and save your community some money. Trees, take a look at those dead or diseased trees, bushes, shrubs, plants. Keep in mind, HOA board members are entitled to rely on the professional opinion of professionals. So maybe you want to contact an arborist to get a professional opinion on a tree, like a tree that's overhanging into a neighbor's property, or that looks like it might be dying or diseased. Definitely don't guess, but talk to somebody who knows. Garden, weeding and mulching, irrigation, again, check those sprinkler heads, make sure that they're in proper working order. For nuisances, like I mentioned, summer is typically a time that you'll see more noise or increased noise complaints. Colorado courts have defined nuisances as unreasonable interference with the use and enjoyment of property. Typically, the best first step or the best option is to just address the issue with the appropriate party, which may involve a telephone call to law enforcement, but also it can just mean having a casual conversation with your neighbor or a neighbor. Maybe that also involves filing a formal complaint to the association, like if there's a barking dog or loud parties or any other sort of nuisance. Make sure that the board is aware of it. You want to bring it to the attention of the board so that board members have an opportunity to address the nuisance. And of course, courteous correspondence will win the day. So always reach out knowing that other people are also fighting battles, and maintain that courteous and professional correspondence, and that'll always serve you well. Document any incident which leads to the nuisance, including, what date did it occur, what time did it occur, what efforts did you make to address the nuisance with the other party. Your association likely has a policy on nuisances, so check that, request it, ask for it from your board, or if you're a board member, make sure that it's still valid. If you do have a policy, make sure that it still makes sense and that it still addresses the issues in your community. And then the Colorado Judicial Branch Office of Dispute Resolution does have very good mediators who specialize in these types of things, and that might be a very good resource for you to pursue if none of the above shake out. Just some other kind of topics to consider for nuisances. Maybe you are meeting with a mediator or alternative dispute resolution judge or someone like that. You want to kind of gather information on like the type of neighborhood you're in, for example, condominium, planned community, how many units there are, how far apart the units are, the nature of the wrong complained of, how proximity of those alleging injury, how close they are to the alleged nuisance, how frequently the nuisance occurs, and what is the duration, continuity, damage or degree of injury, and number of complaining parties are all topics to consider when you're trying to determine whether a nuisance is actually a nuisance in the eyes of Colorado courts. So just some extra additional tips for your summer maintenance considerations. Create a regular maintenance schedule and stick to it. Again, take a look at those service contracts. Sit down with your fellow board members and identify those line items or those issues that are most pressing, and create a calendar or a schedule. Identify the costs associated with the contractors and stick to that schedule. Keep receipts, the date of work performed, how much the project cost, and the names of your contractors. Communicate all of these meetings with your owners, and especially if there's any big projects coming up that might disrupt the common elements. Absolutely communicate that with the owners and try your best to give them pertinent information. Consult with professionals, rely on the opinion of professional licensed attorneys, community association managers, architects, construction professionals, landscapers. And then lastly, consider conducting a reserve study to understand the unique costs associated with your community, and maybe for help in identifying what those large, big ticket emergency items might be coming down the road that inevitably you might need to address. All right, let's see. I believe we're up to flag guidelines, and I think Amanda is going to take over from here. Amanda, if you want to jump on.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, hi, and happy Friday, everybody. Thank you. Okay, so getting into the flag guidelines. So starting off, sections 38-33.3-106.5 of the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act, again, Kiowa, only allows associations to adopt reasonable, content-neutral rules to regulate the number, location, and the location and the size of the signs, flags, and flagpoles. An HOA may not prohibit or regulate the display of the windows, signs, or yard signs on the basis of their subject matter, message, or content, except that the association may prohibit signs bearing commercial messages. Reasonableness is a legal standard that ultimately requires legal expertise, which the HOA Center is unable to provide. So again, as a reminder, we do not provide legal advice, so you may want to consult with an attorney to help reduce, of course, the risk of any potential legal matters within the community. Next slide, please. Thank you. So preparing summer amenities. So a lot of HOAs, of course, HOA communities have playgrounds. So you want to make sure, of course, that it's kept up, meaning, if you have to examine any equipment, any sports courts like tennis courts, as Nick mentioned earlier, and any picnic areas, of course, they have picnic tables, are they working? Are they, of course, we just came out of the winter. So is everything up to date as far as the maintenance goes? And it's, of course, ensuring that playground equipment is safe for use and necessary repairs are completed. So if you have scheduled maintenance, make sure that that's, of course, done. And then if you have signs, available to put around the playground, let families and kids know, hey, this is under repair right now. So again, just to avoid any legal matters that can happen. Next, please. Thank you. Pool maintenance. So it's a great way, of course, to beat the heat. And a lot of HOA communities do have swimming pools. But just as a reminder, they can be a big liability when it comes to HOAs, of course. So you want to review and make sure that all the maintenance is done at the swimming pool, like everything's clean as far as the swimming pool. I mean, like the maintenance, when it comes to the maintenance, and like the lifeguards, the contracts, training certificates for lifeguards, are they up to date? Are their licenses up to date? I don't know if they have to have licenses or certificates, but you want to make sure that those are, of course, I guess, active. And then working gates and lighting, for pools. If pools have the lightings, if at nighttime, a lot of them do probably close like around 8. I know my community, we have our pool that closes, I think, at 10 o'clock. So you want to make sure, of course, that those have the lightings around them. The signage, of course, for, again, lifeguards, maybe the hours what time do they open, what time do they close, and again, if it's under maintenance, you want to make sure that, again, they do have signs for that, so to avoid anything happening. Anything could happen. So when it comes to gates, as I mentioned, working gates, some have keys or key fobs. Again, going back to mine has a key. So you want to make sure, of course, everybody has that, or if they don't work, or, make sure you have like a list for security purposes, who is on that list that can be in the pool. Next, please. Thank you. And continuing with that pool maintenance, again, as I mentioned, just review cleaning and chemical treatment schedules and any required repairs for the swimming pool. And you want to make sure that the insurance is also up to date. And now one also big important thing to remember, of course, is the FHA rules, so the federal housing laws. So the federal state housing laws, they prohibit HOAs from discriminating against individuals based on their familial status. So, of course, when it comes to that, HOAs on pools definitely have to comply with that. So, and that again prohibits any discrimination based on the familial status. Next, please. Thank you. Barbecue grill safety. So we'll go into that. For this one, summertime, of course, everybody likes to do barbecues and, grill. I know I do. And with that, you have to think about a lot, like what could happen, potential fire risks or, fire hazards. In HOAs and homeowners, of course, have the legal obligation to adhere to city ordinances and, of course, international fire code. So I did find some information, and according, like on the Denver County's fire department on their website. So according to them, and according to that website, the Denver Fire Department, the majority of grill fires on residential properties take place in the summertime. So summer months, meaning like maybe from May all the way up to like maybe August or September. And half of them occur in the evening hours. So additionally, grill fires on residential properties, they start on patios, terraces, screened in porches or courtyards, and others do start on balconies, as I said, and enclosed porches. Next, please. And then, so you want to contact the city and county in which the HOA is located for more information regarding their city fire codes. And again, just going back to what I mentioned earlier, of course, on Denver counties, on their fire department, on their website, they have, phone numbers, of course, that you want to contact for any resources or questions on theirs. But again, every county, of course, has their own. And then you want to make sure that any fire-related safety measures are followed and maintained. And if you do have barbecues, grills at the communities, because some do have their own. Some HOAs have their own fire grills for the community. So if they do, you want to make sure that they're at least maintained, or again, because of the winter, there's it can cause, you got to clean it up. You have to make sure that it's ready for use. You want to make sure that again, you can avoid having any potential fire risk with that. Next, please. Thank you. Going into the AC and HVAC maintenance. So AC and HVAC, so you want to make sure you have scheduled preventative maintenance and repairs. The HOA is responsible for maintaining common elements, which may include a shared HVAC system that serves multiple units, and maintenance of HVAC in common shared areas such as clubhouses and fitness centers. So, and then I also wanted to refer, if you wanted to look more into it, section 38-33.3-307 of Kiowa states the HOA's is responsible for any maintenance, repair, and replacement of any common elements in the association. Next, please. Thank you. And pests and wildlife. This was actually a fun one. I actually had fun with this one, just kind of learning a lot more in depth with this, because you might think, okay, just pests, roaches, rats, squirrels, whatever, but no, there's more to that than you actually thought. So with warmer weather, of course, it can bring, again, as I mentioned, mice, raccoons, squirrels, cockroaches, maybe even like there's a lot, so you have to, and spiders, mosquitoes. So you want to make sure, you have, you can avoid any infestations by, of course, hiring professionals to conduct inspections on a regular basis. So, there's one you have to think about, like moths. Moths are a huge one. So I'm not saying, I don't know if you need, and pest control for moths, but I know, during summertime, those things come everywhere. They're just everywhere. So, and then of course you have squirrels, like I mentioned, rats, raccoons, termites, and roaches. And more than just a nuisance, they can also, as you know, pose a serious health risk and can even damage the property. Next, please. Thank you. And as you know, Colorado is known for its wildlife, so that can also become a nuisance to some homeowners. Again, as Nick mentioned, those homeowners who do live in mountain areas, and of course, they can be a danger to pets. So not just homeowners, but also a danger to pets if you have pets that are outside. Just we got to be careful with that, because there are a lot of mountain lions out there. If you hear a lot of stories about that with mountain lions and coyotes and foxes. So there's like just a lot to know and learn about with that, especially again if you have pets. So open spaces, parks, river bottoms, and on or near bodies of water. So did you know that there are state laws and regulations for managing nuisance wildlife? So I didn't. So I learned this. And again, this is really a good read and really good to know, again, in case you want to learn more about it. And if, again, you live in that mountain area where there is wildlife. So Colorado Parks and Wildlife has specific restrictions and state regulations and statutes for managing nuisance wildlife. So kind of goes into, for example, even rabbits. Some do deal with a lot of the rabbit stuff. So there, if you didn't know, again, I didn't, but there are some state laws and statutes on how to effectively deal with these types of nuisances and issues in the community. Next, please. Thank you. And of course, fireworks. That is coming up. So you just want to be mindful of that, and just also just if you do allow fireworks in HOAs, you just want to make sure and also understand that they may be prohibited in most areas. I know in Colorado they are illegal for sale and for use, but also some HOAs may allow for sparklers, smoke balls, fountains, poppers, those kind of fireworks. So you definitely want to look into that if you do allow that. So also become familiar with both local ordinances and their HOA rules before the use of any fireworks. And that is it. That one.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Amanda. That was great. We appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
I did want to elaborate just a little bit more on one of the pool signs regulations. If I can go back to the slide here. Yeah, so so for signs with the federal and state fair housing laws, some of you may be wondering, like, what does that mean exactly if the HOA could very well be discriminating based on familial status? So this commonly what we see with this is like if a sign might say something like no children under the age of 14 allowed in the swimming pool, or something like children under the age of 12 years old must be accompanied by an adult. Those I'm not a lawyer. I can't say whether for sure that would be in violation of law, but that might be something the HOA or board would want to take a look at if your signage includes language like that, to make sure that you might not be inadvertently discriminating against individuals based on their familial status. So that would be like, certain age groups, or discriminating on age. So certainly consider speaking with legal counsel if you think that your pool signage might say something like that. Okay, so that concludes our presentation, and I think we were able to answer most of the questions in the Q&A. Dave, did you have any comments?
As soon as I can find my unmute button, yes, absolutely. A couple of great questions came in. There's one that's pending here, which is whether or not an HOA can enforce quiet hours. For instance, this situation has a situation where pool hours state that quiet hours are from 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock. And now that dovetails really well with what Nick just was talking about, which is this discrimination issue, which is a big consideration for a lot of associations right now, and in particular around pools. Quiet hours doesn't address any protected class, race, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, familial orientation, pregnancy, etc. Those protected classes, and those are protected classes both under federal law but also under state laws. And in fact, some counties and cities also have further additional protected classes as well. So the enforcement of quiet hours is perfectly allowable. However, there is a situation where if someone is making a violation, is violating that, issuing a notice of violation to that individual simply for being loud once might pose some problems, because we do have some laws in here in Colorado that say that a notice to cure is required to be provided to the to the homeowner prior to issuing a fine. So again, your board members out there, community association managers out there, you'd want to look at your policies for enforcement of covenants and your rules and regulations in order to make sure that those comply with state law, but also that you are then following those policies as you're trying to enforce this. Another quick question was just someone was asking whether or not the presentation would be posted online. We always make our best efforts to get the slides as well as this recording posted to our website as soon as possible. It all depends on a little bit of internet speeds and things like that. But in this case, more likely than not, the slides to this presentation should be posted a little bit later this afternoon. So, but we usually do say we'd like to reserve we usually say early next week if it's a Friday like today. But in this case, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get this one up this afternoon.
All right, great. Well, if there were no other questions, I believe we will be ending this earlier to give back 15 minutes of your Friday to your Friday afternoon. Again, Amanda, thank you very much for your contributions to this presentation, and also want to thank everybody for attending our May HOA forum on summer maintenance tips. And I hope some of the topics that we discussed might give you some inspiration or knowledge on something that you might not have known otherwise. So again, yeah, feel free to send us an email or visit our website for additional information if you had any questions about your community. And we will plan on seeing you next month for registration, HOA registration. If you had any questions about how to register your HOA or how to register your designated agent, and some of the hurdles that we commonly see, we will be here and presenting on that next month for June. So again, thank you all very much, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.